Hey guys, Bowserkins here. We're going to be checking out a plus 19 Necrotic Wake today that I tanked on my Bear Druid. I had previously bricked a plus 20 in here with the Hunter that you're going to see in our group. He messaged me after that and asked if I wanted to run the 19. And I felt bad about his 20 keys, so we're going to go ahead and tank this for him. I do have a guest today on the video. This is Shahkakon, one of my push team groups, and also my brother. You'll hear me call him Mitch on occasion. I say hi, Mitch.
Hey guys.
All right, let's go ahead and get the key review going. And for context, I think everyone in this group is pretty well equipped to handle a plus 19. There are no carriers in this group. I think the Holy Paladin's gear was a little less than optimal, but we should be able to handle it just fine. So as we start out for this pull, we're going to pull this left side here. We're going to pull a small pack in the middle and then onto the side here. This is considered a 4-pack. Not really a poll that you want to do this week on Necrotic unless um, you're a bear, right? Bears are going to be pretty well equipped with Ursoc's Fear to remember Lego. And you can see it just completely melts because our mage decides to lust, which is fine for this poll. He wants everything to die before the Necrotic stacks are becoming an issue. Unfortunately, one thing that comes from this is we kill the pack so quickly that I don't have a second use of my incarn. Like I we pretty much killed the pack before my on pull incarn ended. So it's a little awkward. I'm used to using it both times on that pull. So I think what I do here is I pull these two and then I incarn. Um which kind of messes up my timing a little bit and I'll show you how that's relevant here in a little bit. Mitch, this is not something we usually do is pull this small pack in here.
No, we never do this poll. But then again, that pack was was just deleted. So
Yeah, the fire
you got to
mage
work
went.
with your cooldowns. You don't want to sit on an incarn. That's a huge waste
Yeah.
because you're not going to need it for this guy.
All right, so our strategy here, guys, again, keeping in mind that this is necrotic, right? I have 94 stacks. Um, if you're playing a Brewmaster Monk, Blood DK, or I mean, really anything other than Bear Druid, and you're not Kyrian, this would not have been feasible whatsoever, right? One angle that I want to try to touch on is actually how to handle these affixes this week. I'm going to show you a lot of that just by example. I don't want to touch on it too much because I'm assuming that you guys already have a lot of experience with Necrotic, especially with Sanguine. Um, One thing of note, the Necrotic debuff lasts 6 seconds now instead of 9. I felt that a lot in this key. There were a
Did
lot
you?
of
I was
times.
wondering about that.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of times where I felt I got the reset off where I didn't, I certainly wouldn't have in 9.1 before the nerf went off. All right, so we start out this with 98 stacks of necrotic, basically. So you can already tell I'm in trouble here, right? I have 99 stacks of necrotic, which is as high as you can get. Doesn't go any higher, and that's because with 1 second left, um, this flesh crafter got the reset on me, right? So I'm in like big trouble here. So a little bit of a mismanagement on my part, but the flesh crafter goes away. I hit frenzied regen, and at this point, it's kind of on the paladin to try to lift me up, even though I've got a 50% healing reduction. And he's just trucking it, right? He's doing his absolute best. But at this point, I'm at such a health deficit because of the necrotic stacks that I got at the beginning of the poll. Um, it's very difficult for him to be able to handle this. So I go ahead and rip there. It's not a big deal unless everyone dies, right? But this is not a travesty. Just got to make sure we get the cleaves. One thing that you can do to help your group out, if you get targeted by the cleave and we pull this Varith guy in, make sure that the cleave actually hits Varith as opposed to yourself. We didn't execute that very well in this pull, but at the end of the day, it was probably still my fault that I died.
This is just the full puck right here.
Yeah, no organization, no Discord voice or anything like that. Yeah, the route that I have here, normally going into this poll, I would have Incarn. Um, as I mentioned before, my timing is off now. I don't have Incarn for this poll, which I mean it's not a big deal. It's only a 5 pack, but it's it's always difficult to tank these packs with these soldiers in them because when I try to reset my stacks, the soldiers will just jump at me. So see there, I knock him back, the soldier just instantly jumps back over to me and resets my necrotic stacks again. Fortunately, I think I actually dodged his auto after he flew into me, and I got really lucky there, so I was still able to reset my stacks. There's the Harvester channeling inside the Sanguine Pool. Hate to see it. There we go. We get a knockback by the Marksman Hunter. And at this point, my Typhoon's off cooldown, right? So if you're playing Bear Druid and your balance affinity, you're gonna have Typhoon. Um, any tank that has a knockback, make sure you utilize it when the Sanguine Pools drop. Most people are going to understand that by now, but it's really important that you get as the least amount of sanguine healing as possible in the dungeon because that it just adds time to your key. You can see I turned to my left there. That was to try to get the soldier to not walk over the sanguine pool. If you're a DPS or a healer to some extent, try to damage the ads that are in the back of the pack whenever they're chasing the tank. That way you don't kill the stuff in the front. The sanguine pool drops down and then everything else runs through it. That's a little bit more of a high end type of strategy, but it's still extremely relevant. All right, so we come over here again. This is not something that I recommend you do if you're not playing Bear Druid or you have a way to get the necrotic stacks off of you, right? I.e., Kyrian, or if you're like a prop paladin who wants to bop himself. It's it's extremely difficult to pull this entire pack and not kill yourself from the necrotic stacks. But fortunately, I'm a bear with Incarn, right? So I don't actually use my Incarn though. That's what's funny about this pull. I just step to the side, I channel the spear, and basically everything dies. The problem though is I actually speared with the heaving wretch still going, so he healed the full from the spear. But I still killed the whole trash pack, so
Yeah, it's still worth.
it's probably still worth. I could have executed it better for sure, but
Yeah, I mean, 2.6 million the spear. Uh, it's a lot of damage.
yeah,
Still
yeah,
saves time
killed the whole
because those
trash
guys
pack.
can sit and they'll cast in sanguine. Those spellcasters, so
Ideally, I
getting
would
them
have
dead.
waited. Ideally, I would have waited like one more second, or maybe 2 more seconds on the spear. That way, he doesn't
Yeah,
heal after he gets hit, because I could have moved him instantly. But it's fortified. It's not tyrannical, so him healing is not the end of the world. We would have killed this guy even faster if we had lust. We hadn't used it on the first pack, but it's still fine.
yeah.
And
I think less in the first pack's a bit of a waste.
if you're playing bear, it is for sure because I can just double incarn there, and it doesn't matter how long it takes to kill the pack. I'm never gonna die. If it's like a brewmaster monk, probably a good idea to lust it. Brewmaster does quite poorly against necrotic in terms of sitting in the pole for more than like 5 or 10 seconds. You basically have to kite the instant you get aggro on everything.
Yeah, Ring of Peace only lasts so long.
Yeah, and then if you don't have a slow to follow it up, not going to help a ton. It's kind of crazy what the necrotic nerf has done though, because Ring of Peace lasts 4 seconds and the necrotic stacks only last 6. So you only have to survive 2 more seconds without getting hit with necrotic now. So that's pretty cool. All right, so we mop up that boss pretty clean. It's fortified weak. It's a plus 19. I'm not too concerned about it, right? Going into that poll, I know I have incarn, everything's good. I actually incarned on the boss like after the all the ads were dead, and that was because my timing was so jacked up at that point. I just needed to get it on cooldown, and I don't need it for this poll anyway. You can see here I make a bit of a blunder. I was tunneling on the pack to make sure that I wasn't standing in the shadow wells or getting hit by specific things, getting my kick. I didn't realize that the guy pulled the Goliath up here, so I don't grab an orb. Not the end of the world, but very silly. Always feels bad when you tunnel this hard. I think several people didn't grab their orb. Oh, they went back for it. This
You
is
don't
what.
have me to remind you.
Well, they reminded me in chat, but I never look at chat when I'm doing a key.
True.
Unless we're doing a push group, then I have to look for Armani's messages. But for the most part, I don't look. All right, so we go in here, we pull this pack. We're going to pull it with this one. I've seen some push groups, some pugs. They'll pull this pack in with this one over here and use the orb. An extremely risky pull this week. Something that I would not suggest you do, and that's because sanguine pools are going to drop underneath these casters. All of them don't want to move, even after the orb is channeled. The orb on Fortified Week is not going to kill all the packs 100 to 0. And if you get a pack, or excuse me, if you get a sanguine pool underneath Narzuda, um, I mean, it's going to add probably a minute to your key. So just play it safe here. Don't drag sanguine pools into a pack that you can't move with displacement.
Did I mention I hate sanguine?
It still needs some work to bring it in line with other affixes for sure. So yeah, instead of messing around with this, we just skip the Naruto pack here. Pretty straightforward. Most people do this, but even if you don't want to, even if you're like, okay, I want to kill Naruto, just be sure that as you're killing the pack, that you don't drop a sanguine pool underneath Naruto because it's such a huge pain. All right, just to address the two deaths there, you can see it in chat. The hunter went in to feign death, the pack, but I think the DK was standing next to him, and they both got proxy aggro. So when the hunter feigned, the DK still got aggro, and they both died.
Hunter's key.
Yeah, it's his key. He's allowed to make mistakes, I guess. Break his own key, that's his fault. All right, handle those two pretty convincingly. Get in here, invoke this up. These pulls can be a bit hairy when you have Necrotic because you've got the Frostbolt volley stacking up a slow on you. You've got the heal debuff. Um, use your own best judgment and how you want to handle this pull, guys. But my best suggestion to you, if you're not playing Guardian and you're not getting those Thrash shields that aren't affected by Necrotic, either communicate to your team that they need to prioritize single target and not pad their DPS meters like typical Fury Warriors tend to do in there. Um,
Excuse me.
yeah, you heard me. I said it. But also, like, it's not a big deal if you exercise some kiting in there. You don't need the group to stay grouped up because you're only focusing the one target. So here I normally hit the orb. I don't think I choose to do it here. Let's see. Because I have incarn, right? My decision on whether I should incarn on this pack is made by whether I have sphere or not.
I love this pack right here. It's that uncapped AoE that we got in 0.5. Feels so good.
Oh yeah. This is where you can really pad your stats.
Oh yeah. Merciless Bone Grinder. All day. For those who don't know, that's a Fury Warrior conduit for 4.
Yeah, all the whirlwind damage you got for free in 9.1.5 made Fury Warrior
It's not
finally.
free.
It's not even a Fury conduit. You're right. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So for this pack again, like the point is to nerf or it's to nuke the Necromancer. Right. The Necromancer dies. Everything else dies. As long as your group is on the same page with that and they're not spending their resources on AoE spells to pad their numbers, this should die quick enough before you die to Necrotic.
All
See
right. I
where I.
just want to say for that pack, all right, I whirlwind for the extra rage so I can get more rampages off.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right, buddy. Whatever you have to do.
I get uncapped rage generation from my
Whatever you
whirlwind.
have to say to make yourself sleep at night. That's fine. I
Why
totally
not
get
just do less DPS? Who cares?
it. Yeah, so and one other thing, guys, if a DPS or healer, someone can get up there and start the RP event before the pack dies, it's very helpful. You don't sit there and wait. Save yourself 5 or 10 seconds on the key. Grab the orb in the corner, kill Arkaloth. Nothing special here. We're gonna go ahead and skip this guy. So you can see me typing in chat here. I tell the group not to spear. It's fortified week. We have lust up. This guy is so easy with a Death Knight in the group. We don't need to use weapons on this guy. It's a tragedy when you use weapons on this boss on fortified week because he just melts. You see here we have A bomb limb, just rips everything into the pack. We instantly murder it. I mean, why would you use a weapon here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this boss is
And it,
even tyrannical. We don't spear or hammer this boss.
yeah, and it's not like the damage is insane, right? Um, we've got a Frost DK who's bursting during Lust phase with Breath of Sindragosa, and we have a Fire Mage who's bursting during Lust with his Combustion, right? It's nothing special. Like there's so many different specs that do this amount of damage in a plus 19 with the gear that we have in this group during Lust phase, right? Even Fury Warriors will burst for this much. It's a low key dig at your class, sir. I don't think you caught that.
Yeah, well, I'm used to it. Just wait till I get my tier set. It's gonna be even more.
Yeah, this nonstop recklessness. Be juicy. As you can see, the numbers are dipping down here. The hunter's catching up a little bit. I'm assuming what happened was the hunter did not have his cooldown for the lust phase on the boss. Bit of an oversight there. Probably used it on Incinerator. I mean, the boss is at 10%. It's fortified at this point. Like, yeah, we just threw out some CC on the ads and focus down the boss, I think. Yeah, volley gets off. That was probably not something that should have happened. Yeah, I mean, we take care of that boss relatively easily. There's not a whole lot to worry about in terms of necrotic on that guy unless it takes a really long time to kill him. Technically, those ads that spawn near him do stack up necrotic, but I mean, if you're doing the fight correctly, that guy should die pretty quickly. Um, and you're never going to end up with a situation where you're at like something horrible like 20 stacks in necrotic. Okay, so before we go into this poll, I want people to understand that the mage said, um, "You orbing here." Okay, now for whatever reason, that like got me going, right? I don't know why I
Right.
pulled this pack. The because I have at 99% of the time by pulling this pack on Necrotic Week, I have killed myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you've lost your mind a little bit right here.
Yeah. I know that the mage has combustion, right? Like I know that for sure. Because he typed it in chat. You can't see it in there, but it was there, right? And you can see from his little chat message there, I'm combusting, right? Total Chad. I'm at 40 stacks in necrotic. I don't have incarn coming into this poll, so um, like I should be dead, right? So I'm gonna stun here, and then I'm gonna soul shape. I'm at 55 stacks. I'll get the reset, okay? But we've already got one death. This is where what should
Oh
have been
no.
an easy pull in hindsight because of how much damage the mage did and the fact that we speared the pack. As you can see here, carrying weapons, someone used their spear. In that situation, it was actually fine, right? Unfortunately, unfortunately, I think it was our hunter walked into the next pack, and this is where things get real difficult because, as you can see, I have literally zero cooldowns, and I'm sure that our paladin also has zero cooldowns to keep me alive. So at this point, I'm just booking it, fam. Okay, I don't care about the repair flesh being cast. I do kick the drain fluid there and get back into the pole, which even that was debatable. Fortunately, a volcanic plumage interrupts that gore splatter, or that 100% would have went off. At this point, I think that Mitch, we can upgrade the status of this pole into um, an S tier shit show. Like,
Yeah, this is awful. I'd be mauling on Discord right now. I'd be like, oh no, why? Because I already know it's gonna happen, and you see it right there. I when there's a massive pack like that, and you're pulling these freshly, full health mobs, something's gonna be insane.
yeah.
You know that collector almost healed the full if someone didn't knock him back right there. I think it
Uh,
was a brawn. Was it brawn?
no, I
Something knocked him
typhooned
back.
it.
Oh, you typhooned?
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't know if it was
we
carrying weight.
survive, right? That's the point. But I'm telling you right now, guys, 99% of the time I would have died in this pull. All right. Because the mage has combustion and someone speared, and that's the only reason that we got through that pull okay. Otherwise, I probably killed myself there, right? I was for whatever reason, I was feeling way too spunky. I
Yeah.
didn't have incarn for the beginning of the pull. I used it later on, and that's how I survived. But
Normal pull for that week, I'd say you just pull the left pack backwards and then do the corner mob because you didn't even have your incarn,
yeah, I
so
didn't
we
have
would have killed the
incarn.
left pack
I didn't have
and
anything, dude.
then did the pull with incarn.
I mean, part of it
Because
is
yeah,
part of it's because it's only a 19, and but the biggest issue is that we used a spear get the pack dead quicker.
yeah, I wouldn't not have used the spear on that pack regardless because it can be done without it. I don't know. I feel like
Well, I
it's a
mean,
little bit of a waste.
once it becomes an established shit show, you have to use the spear. Otherwise, everyone dies, and the
That is
health
true.
bars
It is
reset.
fortified. Something tyrannical, definitely not. But it fortified, yeah. Just use a spear.
All right, so we pull that one pack using the cleaver to kill the Oros faster. Definitely an effective strategy there. You don't have to kill Oros on in Necrotic Wake, especially on Fortified. The boss is going to die so quickly that being slowed is not a big deal. It's really not a big deal in any circumstance. You should always be able to skip Oros in here. But the one that you need to worry about that people sometimes skip is Sagadon. If you skip Sagadon in here, which we opted to do, you have to be wholly prepared for the extra damage that's going to come in, and you have to use your cooldowns really well. All right, so you're gonna notice with these Kyrian Stitchwork packs in here, guys. These are really bad packs on Necrotic Weeks, and that's because I'm taking a ton of damage from his mutilates, and I can't heal them back up. I can't heal the damage. So you can see I die there. It wasn't even the healer's fault. Like, you can't heal me at that point, and I didn't have all of my kiting tools available, so it's just really difficult to survive there. If I had like my mobility tools up sooner, or I hadn't used them before, I could have soul shaped and been in a better position.
Or if someone would taunt it away, so you can get Like you stun the mobs, and then a DPS runs away and taunts it. Get your stacks off, and then you taunt back. We've done that several times in this platform for
Yeah, I don't
necrotic.
expect that to work out in a pug, right?
Yeah,
I mean, in a
something you
pug,
can pull off in a pug, but
as a tank, you have to have agency over your own health. You can't expect like the organized strategies to happen
this
when
is a
you're playing
little
with people.
scary. They're nuking Skull. He could sanguine the other guy.
Yeah. So here's the thing, guys. This the stitching assistant. There's the separation assistant and there's the stitching assistant. Okay. The stitching assistant basically never moves, ever. Like no matter what you do, this guy's not going to move. The separation assistant will chase you. And you're going to see a mistake on my part here. It's an honest mistake. I wasn't. I didn't have brain fog. I didn't. Um, I didn't forget about it or anything. It was just me misjudging the amount of distance that I needed to take him. So when this separation assistant is about to die on Sanguine, he's going to drop a pool underneath him. Obviously, you need to walk him away from the stitching assistant before the pool drops, or it's going to drop underneath the stitching assistant, and there's absolutely no way to move this guy. So you can see right before he dies, I thought I had enough space there, but he is on the very edge of it. Like he's just right inside the edge. That true feels bad.
It's also an easy thing to do for if you're DPS is to even out the percentages on these guys' health bars. Kill them at the same time, then it's not even you don't take anything into chance.
Yeah, if there's
Plus, you'll
only
get full utilization of the hooks as well.
right. Yeah, if there's only one alive, by the way, guys, if you're the tank, make sure to soak up those throw cleavers so your DPS don't get one shot. Yeah, didn't kill the DK there, but he actually ran through at the last second. He probably used a cooldown. Not necessary at all. What's funny though, if you guys can tell, right before um, I have a kick tracker right here. Right before he gets hit by the cleaver, you're gonna see him panic and try to kick it right there. You can't kick it, buddy. I,
Yeah.
I always love it when people do like panic stuff. All right,
Good
so
old
for
tenderizes.
Gore Grind is basically like a Kyrian Stitchwork on steroids because he also has this gut slice ability and he has more health. So I incarn this pack, I'm not messing around at all. And the key is to kill the little ads before see I actually get hit by a gut slice there like a noob. The key is to kill the little ads before I die. But unfortunately, we're focusing the Gore Grind instead, and that makes it to where I stack up necrotic too fast. Even with my incarn up, we can't kill the ads in time because we're like almost single targeting Gore Grind. Normally that's an okay strategy, but this week it's not. You want to kill the ads first, and that's because the ads will jump to me when I run away to reset my necrotic stacks, which I don't want. Whereas I can actually kite Gore Grind pretty easily, right? So kill the little ads first, and then kill Gore Grind so that your tank can reset his necrotic stacks. And if you're the tank in that situation, um, you know, I guess just pray. Probably the go-to strat there. Not often implemented, but in this situation it was necessary. See our DK gets blasted by a gut slice there. So, I mean, you can see like overall the group management of necrotic in terms of helping the tank has not been great, but we've managed to avoid a full wipe. Been huge. Look at all that damage, fam. That was through my bark skin, by the way. It was 20% DR. All right, so at this point, I know I have to kite, right? 100%. I'm desperately trying to get away from the little ads because this group is actually very lacking in slows. As you can see, these things are running at me at full speed. No mercy whatsoever. I actually pop into kitty form here. Take a spew disease for half my health. I don't care at this point. I don't care if the DPS are like not able to, DPS stuff in a good area or whatever. I don't care. I'm just trying to stay alive.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, Necrotic stacks again. Mutilate comes in. Fortunately, I have a bark skin for that one. I don't know why, but this triggers the heck out of me. I pop my survival instincts here while I still have bark skin active. I don't know why I did this, but it was so bad. Completely wasted a cooldown there. And it's not like survival instincts is a 3-minute recharge. It's a huge cooldown. So if you're playing Guardian Druid, don't be as bad as I am.
Yeah,
So
dude, what the heck?
we're gonna let our Holy Paladin get some mana here. We have 10 minutes left on the key. On a fortified week, this should be, way more than enough to kill the two bosses. We're at 100% count. Everything's Gucci. I type here save spear for upstairs. Realized that what I meant was lust. Communicated that to the team. Because the key here is like, we want to spear this boss, but we don't want to lust. Because we want to lust upstairs. And the reason that we don't want to lust here is because upstairs, when you lust, you're going to pump as much damage into the boss as possible with everyone upstairs before someone gets sent down. Otherwise, the last boss, that fight lasts forever if you don't do it that way.
The mage could read your mind.
Yeah.
He knows. He knew exactly what you meant, even
Yeah.
though that's not what you said.
Okay, so one thing to keep in mind here, guys, you're tanking this, and this is not like a necrotic or a sanguine thing. This is just this boss in general that I see sometimes happening when I pug this key as a DPS. When the boss comes down, I'm gonna go ahead and restart this so we can address this in real time. When the boss comes down after the hook is thrown, do not taunt at that moment. And the reason that you do not taunt and you just want to grab aggro like normal is because you're going to need to taunt after the weapon goes through. Because whoever throws the weapon, if it's not a hunter using misdirect or a rogue using tricks or whatever, they're going to rip aggro. And if you taunt on pull, you're not going to have your taunt for like 3 or 4 seconds. Now, what's interesting there is the hunter is actually the one that had the spear, and he did misdirect. So he hit the creation as well and pulled aggro on the creation. So he should have died there, but he got lucky by the fact that it was throwing a hook. But if you're playing hunter, you're playing rogue, don't be bad. Please use your misdirects. Unfortunately, since we hit the creation twice with spears, we have to wait for a new one to spawn. It's not that big of a deal. It's a delay of maybe 20 seconds on the key. It's not the end of the world, but ideally that creation stays alive, and then the second hook pulls the boss back down the moment he flies up. Yeah, just general rule of thumb here. Blast this boss with weapons, and then save lust for upstairs. Um, the only weapons you kind of want to use upstairs are the hammers, and that's just to break his shield that he gets that does AoE damage to everybody.
I still remember when me and you soloed this boss. I had like 40% HP left.
Yeah. All right, so you're gonna see throughout this boss encounter, guys. My health bar is gonna be dipping up and down pretty quickly, and that's because we left Sagadon up. Contrary to some people's beliefs, Icy Shard, the spell that he uses, deals physical damage. Even though it's an Icy Shard and he's casting it, it's pure physical damage. So it's buffed by the Sagadon debuff, which makes you take 50% additional damage or additional physical damage. Very difficult to deal with on tyrannical keys. I would recommend against skipping Sagadon on very high tyrannical keys, like plus 23s or higher, basically. I have found on my blood DK it's much easier to skip Sagadon on this guy on tyrannical keys because I get more health back from my death strikes. But if you're playing like Bear Druid, Brewmaster Monk, even Prot Warrior to an extent, because you can't spell reflect the icy shards, um, I find it much more difficult to get away with it. So, general rule of thumb, you're in a higher key on tyrannical weeks, go ahead and kill Sagadon. And you can leave Oros up if you want to save yourself some time. Mitch, did you
Oros
want
actually makes that Comet Storm better because you
to?
can have like 3 melee DPS if they're spread out even.
Yeah,
If you keep momentum in the same direction around the boss, you'll never run into your party members' pools. So
right.
I mean, there's no reason not to skip Boros.
Yeah. I was going to say, Mitch, also, you can see this guy's about to drop this pool right next to the boss. Huge feels bad. And then he drops um,
Yeah,
he gets
so
hit by the frozen bind right afterward.
that was the DK who could probably have did his little magic thing to
Yeah, his AMS. I mean, he
negate.
may have used it downstairs, but
Yeah, maybe.
yeah, I mean, just use the tools that are available to you guys. That's the point, right? If you can negate the frozen bind, it's huge. Like you can see the hunter there. He's obviously running the post haste talent. The moment he gets hit by the frozen bind while he's in the corner, he just dispels himself with his post haste. Use the tools that are available to you. See, I'm getting absolutely trucked by this guy. I'm out of defensive cooldowns. I used my last fringed regen. I do have a renewal that I can use. I think I'm going to use that here pretty soon. Yeah, use that there. I've procced my well honed instincts conduit. I'm just trying to stay alive at this point. A lot of it is up to the healer. When I'm out of cooldowns like this, we get him down. Got him, fam. All right, and I got some booties. So that's plus 19 necrotic wake for you on necrotic sanguine. In terms of difficulty for dungeons, necrotic is, I would say, a little bit more difficult in necrotic wake because you've got the soldiers jumping around in poles that isn't a problem though. It's very doable. Um, we highlighted all the packs that can be a danger. Most of them have soldiers in them or Kyrian Stitchworks that you can't knock back or stun or anything like that. Um, but as you can see here in plus 19, this is very timeable. And you don't have to be a bear like me. You just have to alter some of your pulls to be a little bit more conservative. And, our damage wasn't overly impressive. Nobody ran over 10k. Um, yeah, anything else you want to add, Mitch?
No, I think that's everything.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for viewing the plus 19 Necrotic Wake with me and Mitch. I'm going to have another video out here soon. We're going to go a little bit more in depth, I think, with Necrotic and Sanguine later on in the week as I check in with you guys, and I'll let you know how my pugging adventures are going. But this has been Bowserkins and Shahkakon. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.